Hey everyone, Dan here. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button and keep in mind that these are my own thoughts, opinions, and ideas. These are not meant to be, nor should you take them as investment or trading advice in any way, shape, or form. Do your own due diligence, put in the work for yourself, and make your decisions based on that. Enjoy. Alright folks, here we have after market close on Monday, September 25th. We're going to take an updated look at Cano Health. So Cano pumping into close 20% today. It was up over 30% earlier today, if I recall correctly. And I went back and tried to find this, but I couldn't. I don't know why. It's probably somewhere obvious. But just yesterday, I responded to a comment. So this was before this candle was in, on a previous Cano video that said, looks like a double bottom. And I went in and looked, and I replied to the comments, and I said, yeah, tomorrow will be a really telling day if we're going to have a double bottom or not. And not only are these two candles pretty much, double bottoms, but you look just back here at the very end of August, we had this nice double bottom that resulted in this nice move up to 44 cents. And I should just get rid of this trend line while we're here. But that's also, it kicked off in the exact same range, right along this 2210 support that we have. This came in at 2202. The low of this day was 2230, and then today jump up over 20%. So great call out by that commenter. I went to go screenshot it to give you props, and I can't find it for some reason. I'm sorry. It's probably someplace obvious, but good heads up on you. And today did prove to be the day. So I feel like we were both a little bit vindicated in that. So today we see it stretching up here, cut through the 30. When we zoom in, you'll see it struggled quite a bit with that 30, and it couldn't quite get the oomph to make it to 32. I'm looking to see, there's a little bit of a level here around 3150, but I don't know that it makes sense, even though these are often just tight in, to put one around 3150 and then also have one at 3209. It didn't quite reach there today, so I'm not going to worry too much about it yet. And I'm also wondering if the wick of today's candle continues to come into play. I would say it would be because, let me just put this in and then we will get rid of it. But if this continues to come into play, you see back here you have a near miss off the candle body here, but then it puts in a candle body here and basically a candle body here. So it could be forming a pretty good level right there at about 3103. Actually, I'm just going to leave this on. There's not a great reason to take it off. So I'm going to leave that on. I'm happy with it. And I'm going to get rid of this one as well, because we're just maybe kicking off something new. We'll see in the days to come. Here we saw a big pump on this day, up 41%, and up much more than that throughout the entirety of the day, and then quite a significant pullback the next day. So we'll see if we get a pullback tomorrow, if it tries to test this 2522 level, or what. We don't really have anything else. It settled in below this 2764 today. So if it comes back, at least on this chart, 2522 would be the range to see if it wants to test. But some things might develop intraday. If it starts to get a lot of motion in that range, it might start to make sense. So 3103 is the one that we just put in. You see it wicked just shy of that, but this is what I was saying. It did wick up toward that 32 level before we had this 3103 in, but it really struggled at that 30, like I had mentioned. So strong psychological level there, as you would imagine, and it just couldn't really muster a candle body over it. It tried 3 wicks. Each was able to get less high. I guess wasn't able to get as high as the previous one. So that, should have started to set off some alarm bells for the bulls. Came down, tried to hold the 2764 and dipped below it briefly, but then pinned itself to it into close. So trying really hard to hold it there. Now from today's price action, nothing really taking strong shape. Maybe something here around 2659. But that's just, kind of mid-range between these two levels. So we'll see if more price action gets put in and what that looks like in the days to come. But obviously, really nice motion today. And we'll see if it continues, or if we do get a pullback like I had mentioned, like we saw in the previous larger pumps. This one sort of pumped in subsequent days, but it was less, 17 and then 9, and then a pullback of 11. So this was a pump, like I said, of 41, but it had been up much more throughout the entirety of the day, and then pulled back a little over 10 the day after that, and then rose 7 following that, and then sort of marched on. So let's flip over to Thinkorswim now. Because things have sort of gotten wild for long enough in the chart, the daily actually works now, which is cool. So we have the daily here, and we have this 180 to 200 EMA cloud situated up here in like $1.50 range. That'll continue to come down for the time being, so we'll see if those two ever meet. There is a gap here that's going to start at about 79, 80 cents, somewhere around there. So we'll see if that starts to come into play, but there would be a long ways to go still to get there. But it is quite a significant gap. If it is able to get in there and actually get any motion, that would really be something. Now we see it did spend a bunch of time outside of the channel. What do we look for then? Look for it to come back and test the mid-range of the channel. But what do we see here in Cano? We see this bearish momentum was so strong that it wasn't even able to muster, still to this day, an attempt at the mid-range of the channel, which is that bright blue line that you see in the mid-range of the channel there. Now, will this be that? I don't know. If it were to come up, it would be at about 36 cents or so right now, maybe a little less, maybe about 35. And so that'll shift obviously also as candles get put in. So we'll see where that kind of settles and if it's able to finally make a run at the mid range of the channel, because this is quite a long time for it to be out of the channel and then to have sort of barely worked itself in, but it's just kind of riding this red wave down. And today it still is butting its head up against that red wave, so it hasn't really overcome that resistance obstacle yet. So I'm just interested to see where it goes from here. Is it really able to make a run at that mid-range? Because that's going to be a key moment if it does run at that mid-range, to see how it sort of wrestles with it and what it does. We do see a few trigger candles here a few days ago, and then it's been firing now for a few days, and it was mostly moving sideways and a little bit down, and now I'm wondering, is a real move about to come? There was this brief trigger here and fire, nothing happened. Previous to that, there was triggering here and then firing. You see it briefly moved, and then you had that huge move down. So, and that was a counter move, right? It was sort of trending a little bit upward, mostly sideways, triggered, fired, briefly upward, and then a huge drop. So counter move, I'm wondering, I don't know, don't get your hopes up on this, but just trying to sort of look for patterns. Triggered as it was moving sideways, slightly down, fired, moved slightly down, but nothing that was like, oh, that was a large move. And now I'm wondering if it has the ability to counter trend. The subsequent days will tell if there's nothing to this, if it peels back, or if it takes off. This isn't a prediction show. This is let's look at the current situation and see what we might want to pay attention to, so that when it's happening, we can sort of understand what's happening. All right, folks, I hope that your trading week got off to a good start today. And as always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next video.